An estimated 1.5 million adults in the city need literacy building services. But at any given time, government-funded programs for ESOL, English for speakers of other languages, and other adult literacy courses serve about 62,000 individuals. It's only about 4% who are getting help learning English, which is why 2 weeks ago, in the middle of budget negotiations, several hundred students, teachers, parents, and advocates rallied outside City Hall.
And they gathered to urge Mayor de Blasio and the City Council to restore funding for thousands of classroom seats in ESOL, adult basic education, and high school equivalency preparation programs. To help us understand, via policy and personal experience, we want to welcome Sierra Stoneman-Bell, Director of Adult Education and Career Pathways at Make the Road New York. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Estela Tepale. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. A student in the ESOL and adult literacy programs at Make the Road New York. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
So, Sierra, if you could just lay it out for us. We understand there are about 1.5 million to 2 million adults in New York City in need of literacy services. Let's start from there. Lay out the problem for us, please.
That's right. So we are a city of immigrants, and we also are a city who has a large number of people who need literacy services, both to learn English as well as develop basic skills and to get a high school equivalency diploma, to be able to move on to next steps in their careers and in their lives. As you said, we've been using the number 1.7 million, but it's in that range, and there are publicly funded adult education classes for a very small percentage of them, less than 5%. And so this year, there have been some cuts proposed in the executive budget, which we hope will be resolved in this next phase, this last phase of budget negotiations, which would result in about 4,000 students losing access to classes that were part of an initiative that was started 2 years ago to make sure that immigrants had access to adult literacy services and the deferred action for childhood arrivals, immigration reform. Okay. And so that's what we're really pushing to restore at this point in the budget process.
Okay.
Okay. Who are the beneficiaries of this program? And to that extent, I mean, for someone who enters this program, what are the real numbers between job applications, salaries? What kind of difference and impact does this really have in someone's life?
Sure. So, I mean, at Make the Road New York, we have a large adult education program that serves about 1,700 students a year across, ESOL programs to learn English as well as to earn a diploma. And people come to study for many different reasons. Some to, be able to communicate better, some to access better jobs and better wages, because if you can communicate better on the job or you have that diploma, it gets you in a different way. Often also just to communicate in your daily life, with doctors, with
teachers,
with your landlord,
your kids,
exactly.
Everyone. Yeah, right.
That's a big piece is being able to support your children in school and their own education.
Sure.
And so we have a waiting list of over 500 students waiting to come into our classes at any given moment, especially in our center in Queens. And I know that's the case for many community-based organizations around the city. And so I think the costs of the program are very low for the benefits that it yields. For every diploma that is earned, the city itself gains about $324,000 in net benefits over the lifetime of the person from, increased tax revenues as well as decreased public benefits.
Okay.
And
so there's a direct correlation, like if you make these services, if you provide these services to people, make them available, then there is a clear outcome to it, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So if you could, Estela, tell us how the program has helped you in your life.
Well, actually, like she said, all the students we're learning how to help us and how to help our families, the people that has kids. Excuse me. And we also, I've been studying there like 1 year.
Okay.
So now I'm just going on to get my diploma and to keep on and have a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's our purpose, to get better lives in the future.
And you have to be able to speak the language, and you need to be able to say you have a
Exactly.
diploma and be able to comfortably approach people, right? In order to make that happen.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it fits really well with the direction the city has been going.
Right.
You know, having an agenda to tackle income inequality and really provide a different kind of opportunity structure. And so we're really hopeful that this can become, adult literacy can really become part of the foundation of that effort and preparing people for the workforce as well as just being able to navigate life in this city.
Okay. I'd like to talk funding for a second, if we may. How long has this program been available in New York City, and why is it now being taken away?
So, I mean, there's a long history of funding that kind of goes up and down. There was, over the last decade, adult literacy funding at the federal level has really decreased. At the state level, it's been flat, although the number of seats have decreased because of actually funding more effective programs. At the city level, before this administration, there was a pattern of consistent cuts to the community-based adult literacy programs, which are run by community-based organizations. There's also CUNY and the Department of Education and the libraries that are also really running important education programs. And then there was this 2-year initiative under this, it was called the DACA initiative. And that's the initiative that now the adult literacy portion of it is being cut by almost 70%.
Wow.
Yeah.
For sure, or they're still negotiating?
Well, so they're still negotiating. So there's still
Okay.
a chance, and we're in the moment urging the city council and the mayor to work together to not only restore the fund together to $5 million that if the current proposal goes through will be cut, which would result in losing the 4,000 classroom slots.
Wow.
And the yes, and so that, but we're hopeful that can get restored, as well as their city council has been a great supporter of adult literacy over the years and is proposing to expand their funding for
Okay.
adult literacy as a
Well,
whole.
You'll be speaking at a hearing today
Yes.
in regards to this, right?
Yes, in fact, there is a hearing. It's a city council oversight hearing to really look at adult education for immigrant communities, and this will obviously be high on the agenda.
Sure, and I think Estella is going too. So what would be the one thing that you can say that this program was able to give you? Like you were able to communicate better with who? Or what was one direct thing, positive way it impacted your life?
I think we're gonna get communicate with the world. Actually, with when we
Take your time. We've got all the time.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well-
You can say it in Spanish or we can translate it. Someone's listening. But it's kind of helped you communicate in the world, right? So you wake up in the morning and, you can order your coffee somewhere, you can do what you need. Do you talk to teachers, maybe?
Yes, at school I have
Yeah.
to talk with my daughter's school. I need to communicate with them about their behavior or
Sure.
anything there.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine just in everyday little things, it's just easier. Even maybe to even ask for directions in the street,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I just want to flip the script just one moment, if I may, because, it's such an amazing program. And so, you have people who don't speak English, and then, years later, they could be hosting a talk show.
Could be.
So could you tell us about maybe some of your experiences, Tati?
I mean, everybody knows I'm an immigrant. I was born in Ethiopia, and I've had the experience of, running around shopping with my grandmother and translating for her because she didn't speak. When I was a little kid, I didn't speak English, even though my parents did. They were fortunate enough to come here and be fully functional. But I didn't, and I remember what that felt like for a little while, And it's an uncomfortable thing where you feel kind of isolated. You don't know what to ask, even to have to be there as a little kid, there's a certain, uncomfortableness of having to translate for my grandmother. I got over it eventually, and we had our own thing going on. But that's a unique experience, and if you haven't been through it, I don't feel like you can really understand how much of a big deal it is to be able to speak English and communicate with the entire world around you. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you're buying a Metro card, getting a cup of coffee, looking at the magazine, listening to the weather. You know, I feel like it impacts every part of your life, so it is really important work, right? So we certainly hope that that continues to happen for you guys. But let's say, you know, if these programs were taken away, how do you see it impacting immigrant communities in New York?
I mean, the most immediate impact is that we have students who are taking classes right now, like many of Estela's classmates, who won't have a class to go to, you know, unless we find other funding or we can, you know, I mean, right now the classes are free,
right?
Which is really important because people don't always have access to the resources to pay for classes. So, so that's the immediate effect, that there's a disruption in people's lives and access to opportunity, to educational opportunity.
Now, there's one thing I want you to address, if you could, is people who would say, well, you know, if you come to this country, it needs to be your responsibility to learn English. How do you respond to people like that?
I think people are taking the responsibility. I mean, we have people knocking down the doors saying, we want to learn English, you know, teach us. How can I get into this class? And I don't know what more responsibility there is than that.
Right, right.
And what efforts are being made to make this, you know, opportunity available to people, and what kind of outreach is necessary to reach these, you know, English as second language or non-English speaking residents?
Well, one of the reasons why it's important to have these classes offered in community-based organizations is that organizations like ours, like Make the Road New York, we already have a base in the immigrant community. We're already kind of a trusted anchor institution, and so, you know, many people come, their families come for all different kinds of services and opportunities. So, I mean, we do wide outreach into the community, but we do that in many different ways, not just for these classes. And so people come and they connect, and then they find the next thing that they need, maybe for their child, and, you know, the process continues.
Okay. And before we want to leave out with Estela, but, you know, what if the funding isn't restored? What will be next in this fight?
Can you appeal it? Like, what's the process? I
mean, this is, you know, it's a year-by-year process with the city budget, right? I mean, I think we're going to continue to press with our coalition partners on all levels to make sure that adult literacy is again, it's a foundational part of
everything.
You know, providing opportunities to people to take the next step in their lives, to advance in the workforce, and to take responsibility for every aspect of their lives and their families. And so I think we continue to gather allies and strength and work with our allies also in the city administration to make sure that that's possible.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Now, Estela,
and for the last word?
If you had to tell the mayor one thing, what would you say to him?
I want to thank you, after all. And if we win this process, we would like to get the classrooms a little bit more big. And that's it. I'm thankful.
Thankful. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you
Good luck
so
at the
much.
hearing today.
Thank you.
And our fingers are crossed for you, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.